Hey there guys, Next Struck here, back again for another video. Sorry the videos have been a little bit slow recently, but regardless, here we go. So today I'm going to talk about Man of Steel 2, the sequel that will be coming out, I believe, in 2014. Warner Brothers, they're like rushing the crap out of this movie. I don't know why. That's just the rumor though. I don't know if they're going to try and push it out that fast, but if they do, I just hope that they've already got the plans for the sequel ready, because otherwise it's going to be a mess. Regardless, a lot of people were talking about Lex Luthor being cameoed, sort of like with his logo, towards the end of Man of Steel, and people were also talking about the destruction of Metropolis and complaining about it, but no one ever seemed to put the two together. So this is my kind of theory on this. Now, I believe that Lex Luthor will take advantage of the destruction of Metropolis. Now, if you guys know from comic books or shows or really anything for the most part, you know that Lex Luthor built a lot of Metropolis. Now, that might not be true for the current Metropolis in Man of Steel 1, but it could be possible that he takes advantage of this, because as you guys know, he takes every little advantage he can over Superman. Frames Superman, he's like, look what Superman did, he's your so-called hero, he destroyed your city, and then he rebuilds the city and makes himself look like, you know, the next savior or something. So I personally think that that's the way it's going to be. Now, of course, we also have not ever seen Kryptonite in the film as of yet. They've never even mentioned it, so I think it'd be interesting if they brought in Metallo, and, you know, of course, Metallo has a Kryptonite core, so yeah, that could be the sort of introduction for Kryptonite. You know, Superman be like, oh, it's just a robot, whatever, and then he starts fighting him, and he's like, what's going on? I'm, like, getting weak. And then we'd be like, oh yeah, Kryptonite hurts him. Now, I don't know if Lex Luthor would somehow figure this out, or maybe Metallo has to be powered by Kryptonite and it's created by LexCorp or something, but regardless, yeah, I think that that would be an interesting duo for the Man of Steel 2. Now, I don't think that Lex Luthor needs to be like the central villain, the only villain, because let's face it, first off, Lex Luthor has been the villain for a lot of the older Superman films, and he's not a very good villain for fighting-wise, because he can't fight Superman, you know? I mean, even when he's in his Kryptonite suit, it's still not as interesting as, say, Doomsday, or Darkseid, or Zod, or just someone like that. Someone who can actually fight Superman, because you're not going to have that level of intense action that you had in Man of Steel 1. You know, we're not going to have that in 2 if Lex Luthor is the only villain. Now, if it were Metallo, it's possible, but they might need another villain, who knows. I don't really know, but maybe the focus of Man of Steel 2 won't be all action. I'm not really sure. I just hope it's really good, because Christopher Nolan is going to have less to do with it, and that scares me a little bit, because Christopher Nolan had, I mean, he wasn't like the mastermind behind Man of Steel, but he did have some input on it, and now he's having less, so that's a bit weird that he would separate himself from it. It could be that he's busy with other projects, or it could be that he just doesn't like where this is going. I don't know, but I like to be a little cautious, so I like to take things towards the negative, just because I'm really worried about the future of this franchise, because a lot of critics already have it out for it. So yeah, I hope that the Man of Steel 2 just knocks them all off their feet, so they'll be quiet about it. I mean, again, I really don't see why so many people hated the Man of Steel, critics-wise, because the audience loved it. The critics just did not. I think it's just because they're comparing it to Christopher Reeve, and they're like, where's the fun Superman thing? It's kind of like what happened with, I guess, Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man, how a lot of people didn't like how there wasn't as much fun in Amazing Spider-Man. It's more of like serious all the time. Which I will say, Amazing Spider-Man wasn't really my favorite either. It was kind of okay. Not that it was a bad movie, I just didn't really like it that much. I did like the Spider-Man the best, but I know in the review I was like, yeah, it's amazing, but I've kind of went down on it. Anyway, I'm not here to hate on the Amazing Spider-Man, but I'm just saying, as comparison, it's sort of the same thing. But I don't think it's quite the same, because there is still a lot of fun to be had with the movie. It's not like, oh, I'm Superman, I'm cursed to walk the earth forever or anything. No, he's still pretty chipper, you know, he smiles a lot, so I don't know. The only thing that I hope that they do is they maybe focus a little bit more on story, which, you know, they did have some good backstory in the first one, but maybe a little bit more, and maybe a little less of the ridiculous edits, like how they'll just suddenly cut to another scene. I did not like that. That's the only thing I really didn't like, if you guys watch my review. So don't do that. Don't do that, Zack Snyder. Just worry about the story and the awesome fighting, and we're good. And of course, the score is awesome. I love the score. So aside from that, I think that's really all I had to say. As far as other villains I'd want, like I said, I think Darkseid, he'd probably be more of a Justice League villain, maybe the first Justice League movie's villain, kind of like how the New 52 had him as the first, just to sort of introduce, not kill him off obviously, but he could come back later. And then, so he could be Superman, but I don't know, maybe he could make like a cameo or something. Darkseid would, or not Darkseid, I just said Darkseid. Doomsday would be really cool. Metallo, like I said. I'm drawing a blank, but that guy that rules over the planets, he's a conqueror. I don't exactly remember his name, but that guy, I'm sorry I forgot his name, but it'll come to me after this and I'll be like, wow, I was an idiot. Anyway, that's all I had to say. Thumbs up if you liked, subscribe if you liked, and comment below and tell me what your thoughts are, and I'll catch you guys later.